Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, it's Maria Quattrone with Remax at Home and Be the Solution. And today I'd like to welcome my guest and friend, Paul Friedman from Anvil Answers.
Hey, Maria, thank you for having me.
You are welcome, Paul. How are you doing?
We're doing wonderful. It's definitely it's different times out there right now, which I think everybody is feeling, and we're all trying to figure out how to kind of move through it in the best way possible. So I think I'm looking forward to our conversation here today.
How's your family doing with everything? Is everybody well?
They're doing well. Yeah, it's been really tough. Luckily, my parents live really close, and my wife's parents live really close, and we've kind of been quarantined together, not in the same household, but it's been nice that they're able to take the girls when we need a little relief. So my mom's actually had our girls for the last 3 days, which has been unbelievable for Maria and I to kind of just hit the reset button on our lives and make sure we're focusing on ourselves as well, because it's been nonstop with the girls for the past 27 days before they were going out of the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's significant that you got how long are they staying with your mother-in-law?
I'll pick them up as soon as we're done with our call here.
Oh, so this is your last hurrah.
This is my last hurrah right now, yeah. But it's been great.
With me.
The girls love being with my mom and my wife's parents. It's phenomenal for them. It's special time.
That's great.
And how about you? How's everything been going with you?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's okay. We've been hanging in there. We've been focusing on being productive as much as we can. We are all in this together. And I've been personally moving forward with some new things that I'm doing. That doesn't come with challenges of just managing the landscape of where we are in our real estate business. It's the spring market and we're working virtually and unable to show real estate. So we had to be creative in how we're getting things done. And I believe that we will come out of this better and stronger, and that, this too shall pass. So we're doing our part by staying home, staying put, and working virtually, and actually working more hours than even before without even leaving the house. So pretty crazy stuff.
How are your clients handling it?
I think it depends. I think most people are people, and they're human, and they're being human, and they're wanting to sell, and they understand that our hands are tied because we're deemed non-essential in PA, which is a thorn in my side personally with our governor, because New Jersey, New York, all these other states, real estate is essential. So people are actually practicing real estate 5 minutes away from us in Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I think for any real estate professional in the state of Pennsylvania, that is a very frustrating place to be. And I think the clients have been handling it pretty well. I mean, people were saying, can you take me through your home via Zoom? Show me your home, on FaceTime, depending on what,
Have any buyers made offers on houses that they've seen virtually?
Yeah, we sold a few. We sold one on Monday to one of our clients, and we represented the buyer and the seller. Today we sold another one that we're representing both parties. We have about 4 offers out right now that are all sight unseen. We get to have the video, the 3D walking tour pictures and such. And they're in all different conditions. Last week we sold one to a couple that was moving from out of state. So
they're still having normal home inspections on these properties though, correct? No.
Well, the one already had an inspection. we had a report from an old transaction that didn't go through. But these other ones, I mean, they're investment properties and they need renovation. So really not much to inspect
That's pretty easy then.
on those. You know, the other ones we're handling it as they come. And every single client and property is its own case. So it is really a case by case basis. But we're following the governor's mandate, as frustrating as it is, and staying at home and doing all this remotely through Zoom and video open houses and, things like that.
More about yourself. What have you been doing to take care of yourself?
Cooking.
We see your dinners every night. They look delicious.
Cooking a lot of good food.
Same here. We've been ordering. We use a delivery service called Bon Appetit I was telling you about earlier, and they're a Philly-based company, and the food's phenomenal. So we've been doing that for months now. But it's nice because we don't have to cook, and especially with the kids and the times now, the food just gets delivered right to the door, and we just put it in the oven, heat it up, bring it out, and it's ready to go.
Okay, so tell me how it works. What's their website? Let's give them.
It's probably bonappetit.com if I had to guess. You go there, and they have a variety. So every week their menu changes. It's probably seasonal if I had to imagine, but my wife places the orders, so she would probably be able to describe it way better than I can, but I'll try to do my best real quick. But you go on and it has a menu for the week of what you can order from, depending on whether you're gluten-free or vegan or you want to eat meat, etc. You put your order in on, I believe, between Thursday and Sunday of the prior week. And then the following week, it gets delivered on Monday between 5 and 6 p.m. And they're always on time. They're never later than 6. So we always have dinner on Monday night for the week that we ordered it. And it runs through Monday through Sunday. So we order enough to feed us every single day of the week. And it's prepared food. And it makes my life, and especially my wife's life, Marie, way simpler. It's great for everybody.
Wow. And if you said that they have gluten-free, they have vegetarian,
everything. They meet everybody.
They manage all food lifestyles.
It makes life easy, and for as much as I work and run around, I work on average 80-hour weeks. So home time for me is critical. As much as I like cooking, I enjoy spending time with my girls way more because I have limited time with them. It's predicated to the evening times and the weekends. So I treasure that time very, very much, which has been probably the silver lining of this whole entire weird pandemic we're going through now, is that I have all this extra time to be able to spend with them. And we've connected on levels that we've never connected on before. And it's been a really, really special time for me. And I know that it's a time that they'll remember for the rest of their lives as well.
Yeah, there's some really cool, positive things that are happening from all this. And I think that's something that every day I think about and say, we're grateful. I'm grateful. I'm in my home office. Like I had an office, but I wasn't actually ever used the office. So my office is upstairs, and then I go downstairs, and then upstairs, and then down. That's my commute: downstairs and upstairs, and then on the roof, and then down.
You go to the living room, and then from the living room to the office.
But I will tell you that at the end of the day, every day, I feel pretty good. I mean, don't get me wrong; it doesn't mean that I'm not upset or that I feel, a little crazed by everything. I think everybody does on some level. We all handle that differently. But I feel like accomplished, like, wow, I got all this done today. I did these marketing things. I had to be the solution with Paul. I had a webinar this morning with my coach that we sent out and invited agents in the marketplace. I think we had like 70 some people register for that. And John did a webinar just about, what it's about, like how a lot of times people want to say, oh, use a script. Well, there's like no script. It's like, how about we listen to each other, and then we listen, and then we respond based on what we
It
just
should
talked
be
about.
a back and forth, a conversation, right?
Right, because I said when we started, before we got on, I said, there is no script for this, Paul. I said it's like you and I going out for a cup of coffee or going to lunch at Del Frisco's Grill, and just talking about what's going on, and as simple as that. So there's no script for our lunch. We don't go to lunch saying, "Oh, what's the script?" Let me follow the script today to talk to Paul. That's
I also don't perform well on scripts. Like when I'm told what to say, it always comes out wrong, right? This is
ridiculous.
natural. We're flowing. This is the way that it should be. I agree.
It's ridiculous. So I know that your business, I mean, you worked virtually pretty much before all of this, right? I mean,
oh yeah, and we're still working now. We're exempted from the state. We have an exemption, but locally in the Philadelphia area and the suburbs that surround Philly, the local municipalities are closed, so we can't get inspections for projects. So if we can't get inspections, we can't run them. There's a couple projects we have going in the city, which are make-safe projects, projects that we had working. We're working on 2 interior projects for frontline healthcare workers, which we have exemptions for, which is good because it keeps the guys busy, right? So we haven't had any time off. We've paid our employees through since the beginning. We'll probably, I can't imagine we'll be in this for more than a month, at least I hope not. But all the employees and everybody that works for us has been paid in full up to this point, which has been great for them. It was one of my biggest concerns when we found out that, we were going to be going into a pandemic and they were going to shut everything down was, what are my employees going to do? What are the guys going to do that work for my business? And it's been so amazing that we've had these projects to be able to run so that they can still get paid and they can still feed their families. And we feel very, very fortunate to be in that position, to be able to still help people. So it's been a blessing from that front for us, and we're trying to figure out how to manage best moving forward. We know that times are going to change. I go on appointments. We average anywhere from 7 to 9 appointments a day before this happened, and the phone's been pretty much dead lately. People are very weary to have any sort of salesman come through their house to look at an issue because they don't know if they're sick. So when we go on appointments, we take all the precautions. We wear gloves, we wear the mask. The first thing I always ask, ever before this even started, when I go into somebody's home is, do you want me to take my shoes off? So, I treat their home as though it was my own. And I think about that when I go on all these appointments now, of how these families are coping, and they're home with all their kids, and they're sitting at home and there's a huge rainstorm and they have a leak. It only adds to the stress. And if they're not working and they're not getting paid, it's a tough position for a lot of people to be in. We were running probably 18 jobs or so when all this started. We were able to finish the majority of them within a week or so. We've allowed some clients to defer payments for 3 to 6 months out because they've been fired, or their circumstances have changed drastically. So we're trying to work with our clients in ways that benefit them, because that's why we're here. We're here to benefit other people. Anvil's here to add value in every imaginable way possible when you have an issue with your home. And I tell people a lot of times I'm a psychologist, and a psychiatrist, and when you go in and you deal with people, what we do is extremely emotional, and we're ripping apart the outside of somebody's home, and it affects, especially in a city where the majority of our work is, it affects neighbors. So we're very conscientious about how we go about the process, how we make everybody aware of what's going to happen, so that there's no surprises along the way. And we deal with people's emotions on a daily basis, and it's an expensive process, stucco remediation for a lot of clients, especially when there's, severe damage underneath the stucco, which is usually the reason that we're called out. And that severe damage typically leads to interior damage. The way that homes are connected, your stucco is connected to your plywood, which is connected to your framing, which has the insulation in between, which is connected to your drywall. So when that framing is rotted and we have to remove it, it pulls drywall with it from the interior. we never know what that's going to look like until we actually get the stucco off of the home. And once we get the stucco off, we're able to kind of determine exactly what needs to happen. And going through that process and making sure the clients are aware is really crucial.
Yeah. And I got to imagine that right now nobody wants massive work being done to the interior of their home when they have two kids running around having to be homeschooled and two parents working from home at the same time.
Yes and no. It's we're recession proof to an extent because if somebody's home is rotting and they have a leak, it's something they have to deal with. If they let it, if they prolong it, it's only going to get worse and severely worse at that. So the majority of the time, the calls that we get are because a situation has gotten to the point of no return. And the client needs to get the work done. They want to move as quickly as possible to get it fixed so that water, every time it rains, water isn't pouring into their home. We got a call the other day from a family. It's a 2-year-old new construction house in South Philly. It's typical for us that the problems we see are on homes between 2 to 5 years old. And then 5 to 10 years old, but 2 to 5 is typical for us. And it just has to do with improper installation. But a lot of the times it's, a family will get a really hard rain. The rain will penetrate the stucco. The flashing, it's typically the flashing on the windows and doors that was done improperly, which leads to the stucco failure, the failure of the stucco system. It's the job that we ran the other day was the family down in South Philly, and water was actually pouring in through the lights of the kitchens. They were sitting during dinner time. We got a call that evening, and it was raining, and water was just coming in through the lights. They sent me a video, but it's typical, believe it or not, and we get out there within a 24-hour period. We look at those as emergencies. So we try to service those calls as quickly as we possibly can to make sure that those clients feel comfortable with what's going on. And we try to at least tarp an area that we think is leading to the water penetration so that water won't ruin their house further until we can get there.
Yeah, it sounds like that this has been an issue for quite some time for people, and then you're like the person coming in to save the day, so to speak. So they kind of already knew about it, and now they pushed it to the point where you can't wait any longer. Is that kind of what happens with the stucco situations a lot of the times, or no?
Yeah, homeowners, when they know they have a problem, it's not anything that they can wait on. Because it's only going to get worse. And the homes that we work on in the city, like we said, they're new construction homes. So they range anywhere from, $450,000 to $1.5 million homes in the city. And, they're homeowners that want to get the problems fixed, for all the reasons we just mentioned, but, most importantly, because the house is going to rot. And the one downside to stucco is that you just don't know how severe the damage is behind the walls until it comes to fruition through the walls. And most of the time, it's taken years to get to that point. Unless you get a rain that is going to last for a 5-day period where it's going to saturate the insulation and it's going to wet the drywall and you're going to see a stain, it could rain for a day or two. The insulation will get wet, but it won't show through the house. It won't show through the walls. So it takes a long time for that to happen. And in that time, everything's rotting behind there.
Right.
It's bad.
Crazy how that happens, and the people tend to wait longer than they probably should have. But nobody wants to spend, they think about it and they know it's going to cost a lot. So people procrastinate. That's like
they do, and it is a big cost. We have financing in place for clients. We do a lot of private financing for them. We work a ton with realtors like yourself. We appreciate all your business, by the way. Thank you. But one of the things we specialize in with realtors is we defer our payments till the end when a sale is going to occur. So if we get a call, and a lot of the calls we get are from buyers who did invasive stucco tests on houses that they're getting ready to purchase, they'll call us and we'll come in and we'll say, we'll give them the price of everything. We'll tell them how long it's going to take. And if the settlement, we know that this is the last step of the process. They've pretty much signed, the reply to inspections. We know that they're going to make it to the settlement table, and this is the last piece of the puzzle. as long as we know that there's equity in the home and the seller has the ability to be able to pay for it, we'll allow them to defer that payment till settlement. And it works very well for buyers and sellers and for agents too, to be able to provide a service like that adds, a ton of value.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because a lot of times most homeowners, their money's in their home.
Correct.
It's in the equity in their property. They don't have a lot of people aren't sitting on, a ton of money just sitting in the bank cash to do these jobs. So if they're selling and they really, want and need to sell, then that's a great solution, Paul, to being able to have the seller facilitate still a sale that they want to happen.
We've taken a lot of real estate deals in 2019 and earlier portion of this year. It's something that we feel blessed to be able to do for people. We run a great business and we operate the right way. If we have the ability to be able to help and defer payment till settlement, and that'll make the situation easier, or it'll get a deal to the settlement table where it otherwise wouldn't. We find those are some of the best situations and the happiest clients that we have at the end of those jobs.
That's great. I was just thinking about that. We do the same thing. Yeah. We don't get paid until settlement.
And we work so hard through the process.
How about that? It's free.
It's free. Well, we do free estimates as well. I think when you go on an appointment, it's a free appointment. You're not charging to go, for interviewing a client, or I guess it's probably more a client interviewing you. But it's all about adding value, and it's being in the right place at the right time for clients.
We call that a sales and marketing consult. So we don't list properties; we market and sell them. It's a different mindset, and people say, "Oh, I need more leads." I'm like, we don't have leads. We call that an opportunity to help somebody, to assist somebody to a solution that they need solved. So, well, who's buying now or who's selling now? People are still doing it because they have a problem, and we're the solution to the problem. And I think that which is how one of the ways that we decided to do these Facebook Lives and the podcast and about being the solution. In my career, I always get these sellers that they've already tried working with somebody else, and their cases were more complicated. They were more complex. Whether it was a residential or a commercial transaction, there was a lot of moving parts. It could have been 5 siblings in an estate sale with investment property, with multi-tenants, with lots of lawyers involved. Not an easy landscape to navigate it. But one of the things I always say to our clients, and you and I discuss this, is that we solve problems. You solve problems that people have. If you don't have a problem, they're not coming to us. We're usually we're traversing through waters that are usually very muddy. You can't exactly see where you're going. But because we've traversed through these waters so many times, we know we can navigate them for the client and get to the finish line.
And it goes back to my earlier statement of being a psychiatrist and a psychologist.
100%. 100%. I have a question. So have you found, since everything, I don't want to call it the P word that we have going on, I call it the situation.
Yep.
So the situation, have you found that you've had any holes in your business, things that you needed to tighten up, things that needed to be better, and that you sat down with Marie and came up with, okay, these are some things we definitely want to, I hate the word fix, but massage?
Just processes. We're always trying to improve our processes and make sure that the guys are on the same page, that they're always up to date with, proper installation methods. So actually, when all of this happened and things slowed down, I guess this happened, they put us into quarantine it was around March 13th, right? So we've been in for about a month. And when all this happened, I called over to our supplier over at ABC Supply, and I asked him to send out all of the reps from James Hardy to Royal Crest vinyl siding to Hydro Gap to Tyvek, et cetera, so that we can make sure that we're doing the processes the way that they want us to do the processes. So it's extremely important for us, because if we're not doing processes the right way, we void warranties. So
you mean the installation
correct.
portion? Is that
Correct.
what you're referring to?
Correct. So we always want to make sure we bring those guys out about once a month. We always want to make sure that we're being kept up to date with any changes that are made within the product, or any changes that are being made with installation guidelines. So that's really critical in our line of work, to make sure that we're always up to date with those methods and procedures. So to answer your question, that's really been what we've been focusing on through this, from a process standpoint, to make sure that we're where we should be at all times for our clients.
So it sounds like you have everything tightened up and wrapped up tight.
For the most part, the best we can. There's always things that we can improve on. We're not perfect by any means, but we always want to improve, and I think that's the sign of a great company. I think you operate the same way. You always want to make sure you're providing your realtors, people that work for you in the office, with all of the information that they need to move forward with a deal or whatever it may be. But it's critical, and if you're not focused on the processes, they do fall between the cracks, unfortunately. So it's something that you have to focus on. And what about you? Have you guys realized anything with your business?
Well, we worked in an office where we would meet on the daily in person, and we would sit and have lunch together. And we just started a few weeks before this, or a month or so before this, where somebody brought lunch in every Monday for everybody. It had to be gluten-free, vegetarian, whatever. But there were things that came up that we weren't, we didn't know until we now knew. And now they've gotten tightened up. That was basically the first 2 weeks, was tightening up state systems and processes that needed to be tightened up to work virtually. And then also was navigating the settlements to make sure that they all got to the finish line, that were like in La La Land because of the shutdown. And at first they weren't allowing, the mobile notaries and virtual closing. So they got that all situated. So every week it's been something else, like, meaning we're tackling something else. We've started to use a software platform called Monday.com. So now all of the special projects, which I call special projects, or weekly projects that need to get done, that get done every week, deadlines in there, who's responsible for what, where's the ball, whose court is the ball in, do I owe one of my team members something that they require from me in order to move the ball down the court. And we found that this is it's very, very helpful, because I'm always like, well, what happened to that thing? Did that thing get done? And this isn't client focused. That's our client focused systems and strategies and processes are very, very streamlined and very specific. This is more new things that we've added to our plate, and projects that we've had on our plate that we've been wanting to get done. So now we can facilitate it through this task management system, and collaborate in one place. And then I can see it and know that, oh, that's on there. Or if I think about something that I want to do, I want to do this seller seminar. Okay, great. So I just add it in, and I say they'll see I added something new in, who's responsible, when's the deadline, what are the deliverables for it? Is there anything from me that's required? So that's so adding new things really is what we've been doing, and ramping up our online marketing and branding, and really taking our business to online. That's been, I think, what the lesson, one of the lessons, one of many that I'm learning, that we need to do, and to focus on taking action right now, even if you're scared. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people are sad. A lot of companies had to furlough employees. But we still have to take action. We have to say, okay, this is the business. Now, how can we still do the business? What do we need to do differently today? Because this could happen again.
There's a good chance, I think, that it'll happen again. I think that when we're allowed to go back to work, I think that there's a high probability that we end up getting shut down again, unfortunately. It depends on how quickly this all spreads and, how much they can contain. But this is unprecedented and it's weird and people don't know how to respond appropriately. You see all the stuff that's happening on social media and, all the conspiracy theories and all that sort of stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And you just don't really know what to believe anymore. I think that that's half the battle for a lot of people too.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I really do my best not to listen or put on the news. Although when I was up at 3:11 this morning, I was reading articles on Google.
You should have called me. I was up at that time too.
Oh, good. So the next time I know, I got up and I am not a night eater. Like I do not eat past dinner. And I ate gluten-free banana bread at 4 a.m. So I know
the time frame that you cut it off, that you cut off eating in the night?
Yeah, after dinner I don't eat. I don't eat until if I have breakfast the next
morning. What time is dinner though?
7.
Yeah,
7:30.
We eat around 5:30, but I'm the same way. I try not to eat after I'm done with dinner as well. It tends to mess up my sleep.
And then, yeah, exactly.
So let me ask you a question. How has your pipeline felt from all of this? How has it been affected?
So we still are listing property. Some of it we can go to market with right away. Some of it's in, like I said earlier, everything is a case-by-case basis, depending if it's commercial, residential, vacant land, multifamily. It's all different. So we are still listing property. We are still having virtual listing appointments every single day. We have them. People are calling us, or we're also reaching out to our past clients, our current clients. Some of the ones that are occupied, they understand. The ones that aren't occupied, we're sending out the 3D video tour, talking with the other agent about it. Look, Paul, there is going to be buyers have to be able to wrap their head around, I may have to buy a home like this. It's some people that are moving here, maybe from Chicago, LA, Boston, because they have a residency or they're getting a job. One of our clients just got a job at Boeing. They need to buy. So they're going to buy however they need to buy. But if it's just a regular buyer who's here, who wanted to buy, they need to be able to wrap their head around this new way. And we can't control that. All we can control are the people that want and need our help today. Right? So it's like anything else. Before, I'll give you an example. 10 years ago, we didn't use DocuSign. You had to come into the office and sign a document or a PDF, print it out. Most people came in to sign an offer. Like we had a set appointment. Please come in and sign the offer. If it was a seller, we had to go to their house and get paperwork signed. Right?
Yeah.
That was how it was. Before that, this was printed out. Before that, it was a typewriter. Or it was a carbon copy, handwritten. So times change, times evolve. Technology helps that happen. If we were in 2008 right now, I don't know how we would even function.
So, to your point here, with all the technology that we have nowadays, I personally think that this is going to be extremely beneficial for the real estate market. I think that this will help change the landscape of how homes are sold. Would you agree with that? What's your stance there?
I think eventually, I do think that there is no, nothing replaces being in front of a person. No Zoom replaces that. And nothing replaces physically walking in a home, feeling it, touching it. seeing you're sitting in the kitchen while you're deciding, somebody else's kitchen, deciding, can I see myself here? Can I see myself cooking dinner in this kitchen? Oh, not this kitchen, but I can see myself ripping out this kitchen and extending it out back and having, my little oasis back there. I don't think anything will ever replace that. I do think that there will be more people that will tour online. I think that it will eliminate the number of showings that we actually have in a market. We started with the 3D streaming video tours back in August. So we already had the camera. We've been doing this since, way before people are doing it. There's so many listings right now that people still aren't utilizing it, which to me is insane. Kind of like, how do you?
Yeah, I would agree.
I see them all over, and I was on the phone with somebody yesterday. He was showing me. He's like, "Look at all these listings that don't have videos." I'm like, "That's crazy. Some don't even have pictures. At least have your seller."
Pictures, I'm assuming, is almost impossible to sell.
Unless that's the strategy, which that's another conversation. Yeah. But the sellers can. So we have a seller right now. We're listing her home in South Philly. It's a $240,000 property. They have a small garage in the rear. It's a cute little starter home for somebody. And since she's living there, I said, okay, we're going to show you how to do the video tour. So one of my marketing people, Nicole, she's walking through the cellar. This is what I want you to do. She's teaching her how to do it so that she can give it back to us. We can edit, make it pretty. And, we're saying, okay, we want you to take a picture like this, a picture like that. They're motivated to get back to where they live and where they were originally from, in Idaho. They want to go back. Their family's there. COVID-19 isn't changing their situation and their goal and their commitment to do this for their family. And so there's always going to be real estate transactions that are going to happen. We just need to facilitate it with care, with empathy, and doing it in a safe way. And I think that, we always had that care and empathy, but I think this is like a whole nother level. And forgetting about, like we talked earlier about the BS of like scripts, say this, say that. No, you don't have to say nothing. Somebody said to me today, yeah, you're like a hard sell. You're a hard sales or something. And I'm like, I don't sell anybody. Like, I assume if we're talking that we're working together. So I'm just like, I'll send you the paperwork. I'll have the office send you the paperwork over. There's no like. We
operate the same way.
And if that doesn't happen, then I'm like, okay, I got to go because I have a line of people that do want to talk to me. And I'm not mad or anything like that. So I'm not saying like, will you list your home with me tonight? Like, that's insane to me, because it's a conversation that you have with people about what their needs are. And can you facilitate that for them?
It's very true. What about growth mindset? What have you done for your mind, body, and soul through all this? Where do I start?
I'm going to just bring this back to you for a second, because I wanted to ask you about this. We never got to talk about it because if you recall, we were supposed to meet up and talk about Brendan
Bouchard.
Yes. And yep. So I want to bring that up now because I think that might be beneficial for some of the people listening.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So Marie and I went to, it was called HPX. It was High Performance Experience. It was I think it was in San Diego. So anyway, it doesn't matter where it was. I think it was in San Diego, but it was about 3 months ago. Where was it?
I think it was in San Diego.
It was too. So we flew out there. It was a 3-day experience on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And it was really special. My wife and I are all about growing together and bettering ourselves for our kids and for us personally as individuals and as a couple. It's extremely important to us. And my wife she's really been the foundation and my rock for pretty much my entire life. We've been together since we were 14. I love her more than anything. And she's really the driver of the feelings that I have of wanting to become a better man and a better husband and a better father. And she's all about, growth mindset and how can we improve ourselves on a daily basis. And, since all of this has started, a month ago, I digress for a second, but, I've gotten really big into Audible and reading books every single day and listening to books on tape and just trying to figure out ways to become better at what I do. And I think it's so critical. HPX, the main things I think I took away from that, they had a day where we discussed vibrancy, connection, and meaning. And, how vibrancy, is how do I show up? What's my energy level? The meaning of our conversations and how do we connect with one another? And it was one of the biggest takeaways that I had from the event. And it sticks with me every day. I'm always thinking about, meaning, vibrancy, and connection. When I go into an appointment, those three things are always the main three ideas that come into my mind, because it helps you connect with an individual on a level, that you have to understand they're in a really tough position. We're going to help them navigate through that. We're going to show them the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a process, right? Back to our processes of how it works. It's just not a process with my guys in the field. It's a process with clients as well. So that was probably my biggest takeaway from Brendan Burchard was meaning, vibrancy, and connection.
And from that, how do you see it in your everyday life?
It's how I show up for myself and how I show up for others. It's when I wake up in the morning, I would say probably, my biggest downfall in the morning is I normally grab my phone right away. I wake up and I go right to my phone. I don't know if you operate the same way or if you have a morning routine that you go through, but, typically on nights when it's raining a ton, I'll wake up to, a ton of inquiries on the website from, people that are having leaks coming through. So, I want to go through that, but I know it's really important for myself to ground myself in the morning, to help myself become better at treating myself with love before I treat other people with love. And that's probably been my biggest downfall, is I'm all about taking care of others before I take care of myself. And the last 3 months has been really working on the opposite of that. While I still take care of others, I can take care of myself. And in doing so, I have felt 1,000 times better than I have over the last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they talk about that when you're on the airplane, right? You put the oxygen mask on yourself first so that you can then put it on the other people.
Yep.
And a lot of times, we're so busy. I always have been saying that, I'm so busy. I was so busy. I don't know, busy what?
We're all busy. It's a matter of how.
We're busy, meaning like we're always running from this to that, and then we're not doing the things that we should be to take care of ourselves first.
Correct. So I've, before all this happened, every Tuesday from 12 to about 5 p.m., there's it's called the Banya. It's the Southampton Day Spa over in Southampton, PA. It's about 15 minutes from where I grew up. It's 10 minutes from where I live now. But they have, it's a spa essentially, and they have a steam room and 2 hot rooms and a cold plunge and a pool and a jacuzzi. And every Tuesday between 12 and 4, I've been allocating that time for myself. I've been doing it for about the past 9 months now. And it has made a drastic change in the way that I feel on a daily basis. And not having that for the last month, I've felt the effects. I really have, because that's been my release. And now being home and having, my schedule is so out of whack from what it was. I was on I would wake up in the morning. I'd be out of the house typically by 6:30. I'd get home at around 6:37, 8 o'clock. I'd hang with the girls for a little bit before bedtime. I'd write estimates until 10 or 11 o'clock. and it's finding the time for myself, and that's really been the Tuesdays from 12 to 4 have been life changing for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'd like to do something like that.
It's amazing. Marie comes with me. I go with my buddy Greg Guzman, and I don't know if he's watching right now, but he comes with me every Tuesday. His brother's there. There's about 9 or 10 other guys on any given day. And what's the restaurant? D'Angelo's, the owner of D'Angelo's down in Rittenhouse. I think it's 22nd and Rittenhouse. He'll come down and he brings prosciutto and cheese and mozzarella, and we eat and we have a grand old time, and it's special. It's a relaxing time that I think everybody needs for themselves, and they unfortunately don't take the time to repair the mind, body, and soul. And I think the mind and body equates to the soul, and if you're not taking care of those two, the soul will definitely take a hit.
I love that. That's really cool. So a couple things that I've done. One of the things is I really always enjoyed cooking. And prior to this, I'd say we ate about 50% of our meals at restaurants, which
so did we.
I love, and I love going out to restaurants. I like to be with friends and clients and colleagues and all that. But so we've been cooking, obviously, well, no, not obviously, because you could order out, takeout, but we've cooked every meal for the last however many days since March 13th. And I release stress through cooking. For me, it's very calming. So last night, Chip said, do you know that we have not had the same meal twice? We may have had like leftovers for lunch from one meal, meaning we have not cooked the same meal twice in 30 some days.
It's unbelievable, actually. Most people have a cycle they go through every week and they eat the same things. And you guys have it really good that you and Chip, it sounds like you're good in the kitchen together, which I think a lot of couples have a challenge with as well. But it's a special trait to be able to cook and present the meals that you present. I think we all see what you guys, when you post your posts at 7, 8 o'clock at night, and your dinners look phenomenal, and you guys look so happy with your wine, and it's amazing to hear that you guys haven't had the same meal twice in 30 days.
So some of the things, like one day I made chicken saltimbocca, which honestly I would order veal saltimbocca out, but that's not something I really made at home. So I said, we should do this, or he made a bolognese sauce. We never made a bolognese sauce ever.
It's my favorite sauce. If I'm going to order pasta, it's with a bolognese or a meat lasagna or something like that.
It was phenomenal, but we never made it before. And he's watching this guy cooking on YouTube, this Italian guy up in I don't know, Brooklyn or up in Connecticut somewhere. I don't know. He watches them all the time. And he's like, I'm making this. I'm like, okay. So we've been doing that. This is going to sound like a little crazy, but the shower for me, being in the shower is where I completely decompress. And every morning, and then sometimes at night, I'm like, I need to take another shower. And I'll stand in there for 15 minutes doing nothing, basically.
I do the same thing.
And that has been really so with the dinner, the whole thing with the dinner. So here's what happened before all of this happened. Number one, we didn't say prayers before. I grew up saying a prayer. I don't know why we didn't do it, but we didn't do it for a long time, for years. We used to years ago, that we stopped. We say prayers every night.
Is it a prayer that you guys have made up, or just a common prayer?
We thankful for everything we have. We're thankful, grateful, for each other, for our family, for our friends, for our work family, for, prayers for the world, prayers for humanity. Just things
I give you a good one. This is the one that we have for our house. We created one. It was actually my 6-year-old who created this, but it is the food before us, the family beside us, and the love between us. We say that before every single meal.
That's so sweet.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah, it's great.
I love that. So the other thing is we, Chip and I would, when we came home from work, he was already start dinner. I'm always home later than him. And we would eat in front of the TV, watching like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune, stupid stuff. Like, we would try to, whatever. I'm guessing the puzzles, and we have not sat and watched TV with dinner because we have like a low, coffee table kind of thing. So we'd sit on the floor, we'd eat dinner. We like put candles and stuff on them, but not all the time. We made a decision that's over with. There's no more dinner and the TV. And every meal we've eaten every dinner at the table,
Yeah, connected.
candles, talking. We have music on. We have a bottle of wine, a different type of wine every night. We open up. We just got a shipment in last night from 56 Degrees.
What's 56 degrees?
They're out in like up in North Jersey or something somewhere. I ordered it on Saturday. It arrived.
Is it food or wine?
Wine.
Wine.
And good wine, and all different price range. Like we got some bottles for $20 and some were a lot more than that. I actually got the information about them from the Union League because tonight we're going to do a Spanish wine tasting. And you could have ordered the food, but we didn't do that. We're going to cook some Spanish food.
Have you cooked Spanish food before? Have you cooked Spanish food before?
No, I'm going to figure it out. I'm like not a. I cook kind of from the heart, and so I might look at a recipe and then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to add this thing to it over here, and so people say, well, how do you make your lasagna? I go, I can't tell you. I can tell you what's in it, but everything I do is not really measuring unless it's baking. In that case, it's specific. The banana bread, my husband is like, you never made banana bread before. I'm like, well, it's a new day has dawned. You can add all kinds of things. This weekend, I'm making a French chocolate mousse.
I'll swing by. You can put it outside, and I'll grab it as I drive by.
So, I'm being the solution in my own house, learning, doing things that I haven't done, connecting more on a deeper level, and being present. And I think that's what's really important. We always are like sitting here, we could be talking. I could be sitting right here now texting. We're not doing that. No phones. I haven't really watched any TV. There's nothing on. And
coincidentally, Marie and I, we watched a movie last night. We were just looking for something funny. We watched a movie called Good Boys. And it's about these 3 young kids who are in 6th grade. And it's a rated R movie. It was a little out there, but it was very funny. And we needed a laugh. We kind of sat down, but we hadn't watched TV probably for 30 days prior to this. Or if we had, it was for, 5 minutes of, just kind of seeing what was on. And then it's kind of similar to you guys. We're like, this is a waste of our time. This isn't benefiting us. I'd rather be listening to a book on tape or having a conversation one-on-one or hanging outside with the girls, going for a walk. And I think that's what a lot of people have been doing during this time is figuring out things other than it's funny. Before this, we were allowed to go out, right? You weren't quarantined. You weren't told you had to stay home. Now that you're told to stay home, all you want to do is go outside. So, we go to Pennypack Park, which is right. Pennypack is it's a trail right by our house. It's maybe 5 minutes away. And the trail is packed. And we walk this trail regularly. And there's people on it. But I would say there's probably 5 times as many people on the trail now as there were prior to being in quarantine. And it's amazing to see, people, they're not, even though we're supposed to stay home and, they're social distancing, we're out walking. I think being out in nature is amazing. Staying inside the house will drive you nuts. And as long as, you're maintaining, your proper distance from other people, there's no better place to be outside than in nature. And especially with the girls, they love jumping in the creek, in the water, and it's their happy place. They love being there.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. I've been in the house. I am going to get out to park this weekend. Hopefully Wissahickon probably, but whatever Chip says, I mean, he knows the spots, and we did go by two Saturdays ago, and it was really, really crowded. So I don't really want to do really crowded. So he'll find a spot, and we're going to go, hiking and get out into nature because you need to. I've been like going on my deck to get some vitamin D,
Yep.
but I haven't really been venturing out. I kind of have been doing my part just to stay home. The city is kind of there's people around. Like if you're on the trail, it's a little too close for my comfort, and I'd rather be. I'm more comfortable, kind of staying put.
Yeah. So the cool part about the Pennypack Trail is they have the trail, which is just a straight shot, but the trail is probably, I would say, 15 feet wide. So there's people walking on one side, people walking on the other, and then they're ahead of each other. And then there's an area of Pennypack off of Terwood Road in Willow Grove and Huntington Valley. We refer to it as the Meadows, but it's a trail, and it's exactly that. It's a meadow, and they have like little mountain tops, and so we walk on that, and that's a lot more dispersed, right? People aren't as close as they normally would be on the trail, and the girls being outside, it's different. We have kids, you don't have kids, and you can't keep them inside. They go outside.
Oh no!
So
I mean, it would be a whole different world, and
completely different.
Chip's out and about doing some errand things that he needs to do here and there for us, but for the most part, I'm here. I've really have been consuming a lot of information online. First was stabilizing the company, making sure that financially everything was good, working through the PPP and all that stuff. And then it was like, okay, so what are we doing? What are we going to do to grow the company? So, how does that look? What are the next steps with that? What are we doing with growing our brand and our marketing? All the while we are working on getting our clients' properties to the settlement table, which, knock on wood, they've all made it there, and we have more that are pending, thank God.
Great.
So I'm taking it, I'm going to say, day by day, but at this point, week by week. We are planning that we'll be here through the end of the month. And, worst case scenario, I had projected for the end of May.
I think it's going to go through the end of May. We'll see what happens. But, it's people are starting to get restless, though. They really are. And it's tough. It's a tough position for everybody to be in. And I think one of the hardest parts about all this, when we do get back and they do tell us that we can, presume, not what was regular, but with a modified plan in place, one of the hardest things is going to be for parents that have kids that are no longer in school, right? Because they shut down schools for the remainder of the year. And my wife doesn't like me talking about this. But camps, what's going to happen with camps this summer? Are they going to be closed as well? And if they're closed, what are these parents that have full-time jobs that they can't afford to be home with their kid who is under the age of 10 or 12 years old, where they need to be watched on a daily basis. So I think that there's a lot of unknowns out there for people on how they're really going to move forward and handle the situations, because schools are closed. Even if they're allowed to go back to work, how is that going to look?
No, and it's a huge concern. And I think companies will have to be more flexible with their people and allowing them to do what they need to do to take care of family first. And we've proven that we can work from home. We can work virtually. We're probably all working now harder than ever. I would think. Anyway, I know that we are.
Yep.
Just to make sure that we're on top of everything, that we're moving forward, that we're taking swift action and now action, and not being, even though we are scared.
Being proactive, not reactive.
Yeah, but we got to take that like massive action now and change the things that we know that we can change, and work towards making all the other things better, and just getting up every day and having a positive spirit. That's it.
I agree. That's really all it comes down to is mindset, right? It's how you wake up and you're going to attack the day. And if you have a shitty mindset, you're going to have a shitty day. That's the way it's going to work.
100%. And that's why we became friends, because we talked about that in the very beginning about how, mindset is everything. It's like 90% of it, right? Your actions are like 10%. If you can keep your mindset strong, regardless of the shit storm that's going on around you, then you got this. We got this.
Why don't you tell everybody how we met?
Oh, that's a good story. So I was having breakfast with a fellow agent, and the lady at Honey's comes over and says, this guy over there just paid for your breakfast. I'm like, oh, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, I recognize him. I'm thinking from Facebook, and then I see his shirt. I'm like, oh yeah. So I go over and we thanked you. And I thought that was very sweet and very kind, and something that, people don't do anymore. It's
I
like,
was there with my daughter too. I was there with my 6-year-old.
yeah, there's, yeah.
And I explained to her what I was doing, that this is how.
Did she understand?
Say again?
Did she understand it?
Oh yeah. She understands everything. She's a mini me. She is my mini me. But I try to instill the right qualities in her. So I explained it to her. I said, listen, there's always ways to meet new people and to make new friends and to make yourself known, and you always want to do things for other people and pay it forward. So I explained to her what we did, and when you came over and you thanked us, I explained why you thanked us, and then I think we met. We probably had a get together at your office about a week after that, or 2 weeks after that, and we sat down and we hit it off. We probably talked for about an hour and a half in your office, and then a couple weeks later we went to lunch. But I do that kind of stuff a lot. I love taking care of people. I always hope that people would do it for me. But it's the little things, right? Like, had I not done that, we wouldn't be in this position right now, right? We wouldn't have blossomed this great friendship. So it's the little things.
It is the little things, and it's the attention to detail that's the most important in both of our businesses too. And it's in life, because you can be present but not present. So
Absolutely.
This was a great conversation, Paul.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for taking the time out. I know we all got a lot going on, even at home, and I know you got to go pick up your daughter. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you really soon for that dinner that the 6 of us have not had yet.
We are due, and as soon as we're able to get back to it and we're able to sit down in restaurants together, that will be the first stop we make.
Sounds great. Well, thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
You too, Marie. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Thanks, Paul. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.